The following program is intended for mature audiences.
Hey, these uniforms are lame, man. This is the new cut. Y'all be back. Whoop, whoop, whoop.
TBS, America's #1 independent television network, presents the following sports exclusive.
You're listening to Basically a Sports Show.
Follow us on Twitter at Basically Sports.
Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes.
And check out every episode of the show at basicallysports.tumblr.com.
Now here's your hosts, Zach,
Greg, Mike.
And you're listening to Basically a Sports Show.
The absolute worst!
Mike, I have good news for you. Our beloved Garrett Gilbert of our beloved Orlando Apollos.
Yes.
Played a great game for my Cleveland Browns Saturday in the preseason.
The AAF legacy continues. Take aim.
Our Orlando Apollos still sort of alive.
Got to keep that AAF flame going.
That's right, man. I can't tell you how disappointed I am that thing failed. I don't know why I was so invested in that stupid spring league as opposed to all the other stupid spring leagues, but that one really drew me in.
It was just a fun time.
Yeah.
It was football, but it's spring football, so it's not too serious, and it's just, I don't know, it's like a fun kind of deal.
Garrett Gilbert lives on with the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, they did give they actually gave the Apollos AAF championship rings.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. The Apollos are badass, man, I'm telling you. Those were our boys.
Really? They did, yes.
They didn't even finish the season.
Well, yeah.
But they were 7-1, man.
Oh my God.
You got to take your victories. You can get them in leagues like that, right?
You laugh now, but imagine in like 10 years when those start hitting eBay. That's going to be an item.
You mean now?
Well, now is when you get in on the ground floor of that market.
Speaking of rings, this kind of goes off on a little bit of a tangent, but when I was living in Syracuse, I'm walking down the street, and there's this guy standing out in front of one of the bars or something, like trying to get people to come in thing, right? And he's got this big, giant ring on his hand. And I go, wow, that's a championship ring. I'm like, what is that? He had a USFL championship ring from the Michigan Panthers wearing it, yeah.
Did it look like their giant helmet logo?
I can't remember exactly what it looked like. I know it was huge. It was very nice, real. It had real diamonds and stuff on it. But I said, I hate to do this, but like, who are you? And he goes, my name's Dave Jacobs. I'm like, oh my God, you used to punt for the Browns. My point being, the kind of guys that will wear an Apollos ring or the USFL championship ring are the punters, the kickers, the third string guys. You're not going to see the bigger names wear them. Like the same with like league championship rings as opposed to the actual, like you got your NFC championship ring or your National League championship ring. People wear those, but you'll never see like Mike Trout wearing one if the Angels ever won the American League pennant. It's always like the lesser guys and the minor leaguers and stuff.
Well, that's like the Texas Rangers because their park is closing, this year. So they're moving next door.
Mm-hmm.
They're celebrating Rangers history in the park and whatnot, and so like
what history?
Well. They inducted Josh Hamilton into the Team Hall of Fame the other day.
Okay.
That's an illustrious circle, I suppose.
A dubious distinction, as they say.
And then they're also celebrating, they're having like a throwback to the AL championships that they won to go to the World Series that they choked away.
Oh.
They went back-to-back years, didn't they?
Uh-huh.
They did.
Yeah. I tell you what.
Both of them.
Yeah. Oh, God, that game was Game 6. I mean, I know that it was the Cardinals and all that, but that was still one of the greatest baseball games I've ever seen. That was amazing. The championship rings they got were like the best I've ever seen, the Rangers. They were only for the American League, but they were freaking gorgeous, man.
I find the league championship rings like that to just be... I don't get it.
You wouldn't wear one if you won?
No.
I would. I'd wear the shit out of that thing. Are you kidding me?
No, because at the same time, it's like, hey, look at this. We lost the World Series. Look at our rings.
But you won the National League or the American League, depending on the case.
And you lost the World Series.
Yeah, I suppose, but I think it made more sense And I would almost bet that the fact that we have them now in baseball and football still is a result of when the National League and American League were like entirely separate. And like the AFL and the NFL were completely separate, and that's kind of how the whole thing probably it just carries to carry over from that.
Like you don't see Western Conference and Eastern Conference rings in the NHL. At least I don't think you do.
No, I'm pretty sure you don't. I've never seen one like on eBay or whatever because I'm a ring junkie. I love those things. So
I mean, I'm still waiting for the Raptors ring to come out because there's a lot of potential with that logo.
It sure is. I agree.
I'm sure there'll be some rubies, some diamonds.
Okay,
Drake will spare no expense.
How we need to take bets. What are the odds that that an owl shows up on the Raptors championship ring?
Oh, it's happening.
An owl?
An owl.
That's Drake's like logo.
It's an
owl.
He's got his own logo.
They put it on the side of the championship hats.
No, those are championship hats that Drake's company made for the team. Like the actual NBA championship hats didn't have those.
But still, the ones with the Drake logos, those were the ones they wore for the parade.
Yeah, and those are the ones that are selling better, I bet you.
Yeah, well, it's got Drake, who is a national hero and treasure. So, you know.
Do we have a picture of the Apollo's rings, Mike? I mean, do we know for a fact these things exist? Because I got to see this.
Hang on, let me see. There was a ceremony. Let me see if I could pull up a picture of the rings.
I think this is obscene. I can't believe a league that didn't finish its first season gave out championship rings.
They're uglier. They're uglier than hell, but there they are.
Yeah.
Here we go, Zach. Take a look at this bad boy.
Well, looks like they got what they could pay for. That looks.
I've got a Packers replica Super Bowl ring that my buddy Charlie bought for me for like $7 at a flea market in Florida. That looks better than this thing.
Yeah. No, that looks like the if they actually made rings for the Apollo Championship, this is what the replica of it would look like.
Yeah. A bad replica.
Fans could buy.
Yeah. Oh, my Cardinals ring's much nicer than this. Much nicer. Yeah. But, hey, it's a ring, man. You know what? They all count as far as I'm concerned.
That's truly absurd. Alliance champions.
Well, technically they are.
No, they're not.
You know, no respect for our team at all from him, Mike. Can you believe this shit? Oh, I think the greatest ring. Hold on a minute here.
If they had to cancel the rest of the World Series for some reason, they would not just declare the team that was winning the champion. That's not how it works.
I'll have you know that
the Expos don't have World Series championship rings. Where are those? They were leading the league at the time, right?
I will have you know those rings were awarded in an official AAF-sanctioned ceremony, Zach. That is...
Oh, how? The thing disbanded.
Well, they had a little banquet down at the VFW hall. And, everybody showed up, got the ring.
Well, in this UCF one, I mean, that's legitimate, though.
Okay, how?
It's not.
Hey, speaking
but hey, they played the same stadium, right?
Yes.
Maybe that's where they got the idea.
Good point. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, I was saying there's a lot of crossover. I sent you those pics when I actually went to that Apollo's game. They had the UCF national. They actually had it on like the freaking stadium, like installed, like signage.
I don't doubt it one bit. But
okay, you're a player on that team. Do you wear that ring?
No.
Oh, on UCF?
Yeah.
I don't. No, not at all.
See, I think you.
I don't know if you wear it, but I think you display it.
I think you guys are giving the ring thing a short shrift here because I think for a lot of these players, again, I get it. If you're Aaron Rodgers, you're not going to wear your NFC Championship ring. Okay, I understand that because you've got a Super Bowl ring, and if you've got a Super Bowl ring, there's never a need to wear the other ones. But let's say you're like a guy from special teams unit, like guy number 51 on a 53-man roster, and you get an NFC Championship ring with the Seahawks. Why wouldn't you wear that? I mean, that's
sure.
You know what I'm saying? That's my point.
It makes sense for those end of the roster guys that you're talking about, but again, that's a small portion of it.
Mm-hmm.
I think, speaking, especially like these UCF ones, like Mike said, it's a national championship that they made up, and with the Orlando Apollo ones, it's for a team in a league that didn't even finish the season.
Well, yeah, I have to agree. I mean, I think it's funny that they gave out rings, but
that's absurd.
Yeah.
And really, I think my other point is that I don't think the AL or NFC champions should be making rings anymore. Like, I know it's tradition based on where they came from, but like,
see, I like it.
Every one of those guys is trying to win a Super Bowl.
I know, but like I said, there are guys, and I think it's the majority more than it is. I think that they are far more the rule than the exception. Are guys that you've never heard of that achieved even losing the Super Bowl. Just to say you were in it is a pretty cool thing. Of course, nothing's ever going to have the cachet that a actual championship ring does. But, I don't have a thing against people wearing league championship rings or, like the bowl game rings that players get. None of that bothers me.
Right. Well, and I guess my other point, too, is like you look at that Rangers ring and you say it looks great. But that's my other problem is like to continue to play this out. Do you want to make division championship rings?
No. I do think though that winning the NFC, AFC, or the American League or the National League is a hard thing to do. It's not easy. Once you're in the Super Bowl, you're there. But I think to get just even to that point is pretty tough, pretty hard to do. So I'm okay with giving a ring for that. I'm fine.
But could you imagine the Boston Bruins getting their Prince of Wales championship rings?
If any team would do it, it would be the fucking Bruins. Just going to tell you that right now.
I honestly, in hockey, of all sports, I think it would make the most sense because just to get to the Stanley Cup final, you got to win 12 games?
Right? Yeah, 12 games, yeah.
Yeah, that's not easy. I think that if you get that far, you should get something for the accomplishment. Now, I know like the Steelers, when they lost to the Packers, they didn't do rings, they did watches. But most teams do rings, and I don't have a problem. It's fine. And if you don't want to wear it, don't wear it. But I think there are a lot of people that will.
Could you imagine if Tom Brady wore his AFC championship rings?
Well, he's got, about 26 of them, doesn't he? Well, that's the question, too, now. Did the Patriots get an AFC championship ring to go with their Super Bowl ring?
I don't think so. I think they only do the one.
I know that when the Buckeyes won in 2014, they got 3 different rings for that season. They got the one that the playoff gave them. They got the one that the school put out for the national championship, and one from the Big Ten. So they literally had 3 national championship rings. That's a bit much, right?
Yeah, it's too much.
I like rings, so that's just my thing. I just think they're cool,
I mean, no, they absolutely are cool. But I'll tell you what, none of these compare to the glory that is the CFL ring. All right, just going to put that out right
one of
there.
those, too.
You need a Grey Cup ring. That's when you know you made it.
Well, now you got to show us one.
Oh, you know what I'm going to show you? The Ottawa Red Blacks ring.
Oh, there we go. That's going to be sharp, I bet, or ridiculous, or both.
It better be red and black.
It actually looks pretty cool. I'm pretty disappointed that it doesn't have a hashtag on it because they have the hashtag on their pants.
Yeah, opportunity missed.
Let's see. How do I do
almost 23 minutes on championship rings?
Hey, man. All right. We needed to show some respect
for our Apollos.
For our Apollos, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, don't worry, guys. We're less than a month away from real football, so.
Those are nice. Ooh, I'd wear one of those.
I actually did watch the Bucs-Dolphins preseason game. My uncle was very upset about the logo.
Oh, the Dolphins?
Yeah. Yeah, he's like, what happened to the Dolphin wearing the football helmet? Like, oh, well, they changed that a few years ago. It's like, oh, well, it looks bad.
Speaking of uniforms, I don't want to bring up anybody by name from the boards, but I think we all know who I'm talking about. This person is a known contrarian, a known know-it-all, a known thinks he knows everything in the world there ever was to know about uniform design.
You're describing half the board, Greg.
All right. Also has a job working in the industry.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah.
That narrows it down a little bit. And he's not the guy that works for Adidas. How's that? He might have a job with one of the teams we just talked about, say, 30 seconds ago.
The luxury brand?
Yeah, right, exactly.
When I think of the team that dragged Jay Cutler out of retirement, I think luxury brand, but go on.
Right, so we all know who we're talking about now, and I'm pretty sure everybody that's from the CCSLC listening also knows who we're talking about now, but I'm still not going to mention him by name because that would be unfair. But he put a thing on Twitter the other day, and he had these 4 uniforms: the Cardinals, the Bengals, the Falcons, and what was the other one? The Buccaneers. And had the audacity to go, these are 4 great uniforms. And I was just astonished. Not like, okay, there are elements of these that work, or some of this is the color. No, these are 4 great uniforms. That's what he said.
The Buccaneers.
Maybe it wasn't. Now I got to double check because I don't think the Bucs is correct. I'm sorry. Let me dash over to the Bass Twitter feed real quick, and I'll tell you.
I mean, that can't be the case.
I wouldn't be surprised. Are you kidding me?
I mean...
Yeah, I got to find... Oh, wow.
I mean, every season, since I've been down in Florida, every season when Buck season starts up again, you start seeing, posters around town, you start seeing commercials, and you start even, watching the games on TV. Every year, I'm impressed by how bad that Bucks uniform looks. It's like you kind of forget how bad it is during the off season, and then the season starts again. You see them in action, you're like, oh, those are not good at all.
With every bad uniform, we look at it and go, all right, let's say that we can't completely change this. We've got to keep elements of it. What can I fix to make this look better? And with that one, I can't come up with anything. The decal's way too big on the helmet. That's problem 1. I guess it's fix the numbers. But I don't think the colors work well together. I mean, they're too stark or something. I don't know what the word is I'm looking for, but...
really, I think changing the numbers would go... It would be 70% of the way there. It takes up so much. It's a couple things. Like it's the numbers. It's taking the sparkle pewter that used to be on the pants, that is the helmet, and then making it into a flat fabric that they use on the shoulder,
which transforms it, by the way, from pewter to just brown.
Correction, too. It was the Bengals, Falcons, Cardinals, and Broncos. I'm sorry, it was not the Buccaneers.
The Bengals,
yes,
Falcons, Cardinals, and Broncos.
Unpopular opinion: these are all really good uniforms. And I thought I wanted to do the old "if you're Stevie Wonder" joke, but that just is so tired and done. I thought if I can't do better than that, I'm not going to bother.
I'll give him the Broncos.
No, not with that 90s bullshit still going on.
I can't abide by that, Zach. Sorry, that the Broncos.
Because if you're going to give the Broncos, you've almost got to give the Cardinals because they're basically the same uniform.
But the Cardinals have all that extra piping.
I was gonna go. I was gonna join you on the Broncos, but then I saw their color rush set, and I was like, "That's just a white pair of pants away from being perfect."
Oh my God, that would be gorgeous, wouldn't it?
I don't know, the logo, the late '90s logo, the Broncos still have really bugs me. It's like a cyber horse.
Well, not only that, but this person also, when somebody posted that exact thought, Mike, the color rush with white pants, and it wasn't me. He said, I hate that logo, the old school Broncos logo. Hates it. Likes the new one better. He likes Robo Horse better.
This person can shove a stick up, where, because... okay, no. So my reasoning for that is that the Broncos, to me, and I've said this on the show before, and I don't know if it's just me, but I've always had the mentality, I've always kind of thought about the Broncos like the AFC's Dallas Cowboys.
Like a legacy team.
Kind of like a legacy team. Sure. They kind of occupy that same space, and they have a Western motif. Like they're both from cities out west. They both kind of play into that a bit, Bronco, Cowboy. We're talking about the same imagery. They both used to have cartoony logos of guys on horses.
Yeah.
And so, to me, the idea, the Broncos, the idea of, that old-fashioned, D with the Bronco in it was just such a good classic logo of that team. And I just don't think that the Cyber Horse fits.
I think
I don't like the helmet striping with the tapered helmet stripe. I don't like that.
What I guarantee why I have an affinity for those uniforms. The first football game I remember watching was the Broncos-Packers Super Bowl with John Elway. And just like that kind of seared what football is in my mind. And like, I like the color rush uniforms also, but I hate their old jerseys. Like, I like the color rush a lot, and I think it would be great with blue pants or white pants. But the actual throwback, the old jerseys that they wore before the changeover, have just never done it for me. That the royal blue and the like very bright orange never.
Oh wow!
Never at all.
That's basically the same color scheme they wear now. Well, the blues. It's a navy blue now, but the orange is the same, and basically the setup's the same. It's outlined in blue. I've always said
the darker blue looks better to me.
I agree, and I've always said that I love the color scheme they went to, and their old uniform in these colors would be fantastic, which is basically what the color rush would be. If they did that, with the white pants, it would be the darker blue helmet with the old logo. It would be one of the top 5 looks in the league, I think.
Incidentally, I just checked out that comment thread on Twitter, and someone posted this image, which Zach will get, and I think it explains how awful the Falcons logo is.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. I like the Falcons are very much of their time. Like when it was the Michael Vick era, it made sense. It worked. But, like, that is a team that needs an update. And really, I do think the Broncos could use an update because you're right, it is very late 90s, Nike's first entry into pro football. And I get that, and it does need an update. But I think the Falcons look it a lot more than the Broncos do. I think the Cardinals definitely look it more than the Broncos do. And the other one that I might defend is the Bengals. I think the Bengals. No. I'm not
Zach,
saying. Hold on. As they are, not great. But it's one of those things that, like, it is almost there.
Oh, they're just a couple fixes away from being fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas, the Falcons and the Cardinals need a full.
I would say the Cardinals look fine from the neck up.
And
the helmet's great.
I know that a lot of people found the Cardinals' previous look boring with just the basically the Cardinal jersey with the white numbers. But I defy anyone the road set with that uniform, the old uniforms with the stripes on the sleeves, and oh my God, that's one of the best uniforms ever. I might like that uniform because I do. What's that stupid website where you save the pictures? Pinterest, I think it's called. And I've got a thread on there. It's called Classic NFL Uniforms. And I'm such a dork. I broke them all down into like different teams. And every time I see those Cardinals uniforms, I go, man, I think that's like my favorite uniform ever. The white, all white Cardinals uniforms from that era. They were fantastic. And
Frank, I just want to say I love the fact that you have a Pinterest.
Well, my girlfriend told me about it, and I said, "What do you?" I go, I don't get it. What's it for? She's like, "Well, if there's pictures." And you don't have to want to go find them. You save them, and then they're right there. And I went, oh, okay, that makes sense. And so I started using it.
It's also for
women
girls making dream boards.
Yeah, I know.
And planning weddings.
I promise,
like
I only use it for manly stuff like uniform stuff.
That's the thing, Greg. You're like 0.5% of the population that's using.
Oh, I know.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but it's
this is a safe space.
I would never think to go to Pinterest to look for an NFL uniform list, and I don't think anybody else would either.
It's not a list though. So that's the thing. It's just basically I save all these pictures for. Because to go back to Twitter for a second, our friend of the show McCarthy asked the other day, "How often do you change your iPhone wallpaper?" I said probably twice a week. Well, I lied. It's a lot more than that. Probably like twice a day because I'm just nutty about it. I make wallpapers all the time. And I had files and files and files of pictures everywhere. And I discovered Pinterest. I'm like, listen, I can save all my wallpaper pictures. And that's what I use it for. So, yeah. But that's all I have, just uniform stuff. That is it. and NASCAR, like old NASCAR stuff, for just all there specifically. So when I want to do a wallpaper of a specific theme, I know right where to go get it. Yeah, but
I would love to just be over the shoulder of some 40s housewife going through, picking out wall colors or, kitchen backsplashes. Well, and then she comes across.
It's funny.
Like a NASCAR design list. It's like, huh?
It's funny. It took my girl. There's a lot of people on there that do what I do with the uniform list. I was surprised. But it took my girlfriend like 7 tries before I finally understood what the damn thing was, because she'd be on it. And I'm like, what is this? She goes, it's Pinterest. I'm like, well, what the fuck is Pinterest? Well, you take pictures and recipes and you put them there. And I said, for what? Like, to do what with? Well, that's just to put them there. I'm like, why do you put them there? And she finally it like broke through. She thought, I think you'll understand that if I say it like this. I put them there so I know where to find them. I'm like, oh, I get it now. So, and so I went on there one day and I did a search like Minnesota Vikings, Chuck Foreman, who played for the Vikings back in the 70s. And I was just overwhelmed with all these beautiful pictures of those old Vikings uniforms. And I went, oh, I get it. And off I went. So it's, but yeah, I probably am not the demo they were going for on there.
I think the only time I end up stumbling onto Pinterest is every year I don't know, like, how to put together a cheap Halloween costume by myself.
See, let me see. I don't know if this will work. I'll link you guys to it and see if it'll let you look at it. You can see what I do. And I don't know why they're not in alphabetical order. They are when I work on them.
Yeah, that's the thing that drives me nuts about Pinterest, is that I don't understand the order that it places things in.
Yeah, I guess it's got Texans and Titans listed first, followed by Jaguars, Bears. So it's no rhyme or reason to it whatsoever.
Yeah.
But if you go to it and look at the Cardinals and look at those white road uniforms, they were fucking awesome.
I love how you got Pro Bowl.
Pro Bowl and oddities.
Oddities.
Yeah, because there's a few, like if you open that one, there's actually a little story to tell about, I think, the first picture there, the one to the left. Those are the uniforms that the College All-Stars wore when they played the Super Bowl champions every year for, I don't know how long this game lasted, but it finally died in like 1976 or 77. They were playing the Steelers, and this horrible thunderstorm came in. They took everybody out the field halfway through the third quarter, and the game was never played again after that. That was the end of it, period. So, but anyway, that's my Pinterest. I don't think anybody gives a fuck about it but me, and I'm not sure I give a fuck about it. But anyway, that's just to show you how the deep dives I take on uniform stuff, old stuff.
So scrolling through here, I scroll by the Broncos, and the other thing that stands out to me about the Broncos, why I don't like the old look, and again, this is probably just because of the era I came up watching. I don't think of the Broncos as an orange team. Never did.
Oh, they were the orange crush, man.
Their alternate. I know, but like I started watching the Broncos pretty much right when they changed uniforms. And so to me, they were always a navy blue with orange trim team. And so, whenever I saw like old clips, it's like, oh, what? That looks weird. Or like, to me, from a distance, I always thought they were the uniforms for the Water Boy.
Never seen the Water Boy. I'll tell you who else had badass uniforms was the Oilers, man.
Oh, yeah. Those baby blues.
Just about every iteration of their uniform was pretty sweet. They really never screwed it up. Then I look at the Lions and I go, what happened here? What went wrong?
But like for the Broncos, as a Chargers fan, I like to see them in orange because it's like, no, we are going to be the blue team in this division. So
I see, and that's the funny thing. Like,
go back to orange.
Like with Zach, you grew up on them in blue, and to me, the blue looks weird because they've always been orange to me. Because been around almost as long as they have. Oh
yeah, no, they were the Broncos and the Browns, right? Those were.
And I remember it was, I think, the 96 season when they switched to those, and they showed John Elway on ESPN wearing them. I was doing my daily sports talk show then, and I led the show with it. I didn't even give a fuck that, the uniform dork thing was still a closely guarded secret. I just came right out and said, oh, my God, what have they done to the Denver Broncos? And
I will say that the new Broncos uniforms, or years later, Brett Favre in those like Minnesota Vikings Reebok uniforms were like always
those are
funny.
bad.
It's like whenever you get like the older guys in like the new style, it just looks weird.
It's jarring as hell.
Yeah.
Like
Favre in the Vikings was
the worst.
Weird and bad. So bad.
See, and I thought Peyton Manning in a Broncos
again,
uniform looked weird.
Chris Chelios again in like that like super like futuristic Thrashers alternate where it's like you look like a guy. It's like it's the hockey equivalent of like an old guy trying to dress like his teenage son, and it's like no, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
But I like looking at the old pictures, and I'm looking through it now, and I'm going. I just love those Cardinals uniforms. I love the old Vikings uniforms from like the 70s. Those were so cool.
So the Cardinals ones are the ones that I just stumbled upon too, and I agree that they look fine. But here's my deal with those, and why I don't think I would want the Cardinals to go back to those. Those uniforms are all just laced with failure.
Yeah.
Right? And unfortunately, they had their best years in these piped and paneled monstrosities.
They had their one Super Bowl in those uniforms, but they were a very successful team in the early to mid 70s. They were tough. So those uniforms aren't all failure. They're the Jim Hart.
Do you not appreciate the Jake Plummer years, Zach?
Or the Jake Plummer years? I mean, yeah. So that when you're a team that old, I mean,
Jake Plummer more as a Bronco, but
the Cardinals are like one of the oldest teams in the NFL. Right, Mike?
No.
Yeah, so
they are the oldest team. Actually.
Okay, the oldest team. I thought the Bears were, but yeah, the Cardinals are.
No, the Cardinals are older.
So, a legacy uniform is what they should be wearing. It's just kind of ridiculous that the oldest team in the NFL looks like they got stuck in 1997 and didn't know what to do about it. And every time I bring that up, people go, they went to those uniforms in 2002. It's like, that's still a 90s style. I don't care what anybody says. But
I mean, yeah, the thing about it is that, like, aesthetics don't really conform to clean decade breaks. So in the early 2000s, we were still designing stuff like it was.
But I will say this, and then we can move on from my stupid Pinterest page. But in putting this whole thing together, I have found that my listing of favorite uniforms has changed quite a bit. Like I used to think the Bears home uniform was like the best, not anymore.
See, this is where I'm regularly going to contend with you, Greg, and just flat out say that the best Bears look is the white jersey over navy pants.
Yeah, well, it's not bad, but it's not my favorite.
I hate the Bears in all white.
Yeah, it's because you guys are young.
No, they look like a sock.
See, I think they look wimpy when they wear the dark blue pants.
See, I think
it's
when they wear the all white.
It's what you grew up with. It's what you're used to. And when I grew up, they were playing at Soldier Field on that horrible turf in the freezing cold in those all white uniforms, or on the road and then at home. That's the Bears to me. Like at Lambeau Field in the all white with the cold weather and stuff. So it's
Also, incidentally, Greg, take a look at the uniform matchup history of our teams and how it's gone horribly wrong. Like, look, first two, great combinations.
Yeah.
And then,
oops. But you know what, though? Zach brought up something earlier about having an affection for a uniform. And as bad as those Browns uniforms are, I can't completely hate them because they're the Browns. I can't find a lot to like about them, but I don't sit and go, God, I just despise those things.
Greg, I'm gonna take a sobering position for you because I understand that they're the Browns, and I understand that you're in a very tough spot there. I sympathize, so I will say it for you that they are dog shit.
Oh, I know, completely.
Yeah. Well, no, it's the same thing. Like the Ducks, I've grown fond of what they look like now, but
all the piping.
Well, I guarantee if you showed me those things like 12 years ago, before when they were still the Mighty Ducks, I'd be like, "What the hell is that?" But it's just what they are now, and they're the team that I unfortunately love, and so
right. You put up with things if they're a team that you root for.
Yeah.
I mean, look at your Chargers, Mike. I mean, my God, they're as bad as the Browns. Well, not quite as bad.
Absolutely. But at the same time, I don't own any current Chargers jerseys. So
I actually have two of those. I have two Philip. I have the navy blue and the powder blue. And you know why? Because they were $3 each. And I said I can't pass that deal. If I never wear them, but I have them.
That's fair.
Which may have been what led to that question from the Ask Us Anything a few weeks back. If you only had to keep one jersey, and maybe that's where that came from, me going out and buying jerseys that I won't wear just because they're cheap. But anyway.
I mean, that's fair. If I saw a jersey, if I saw Phillip Rivers, current Chargers jersey for only like $3, I'd probably buy it too.
Yep,
but
and that's what I did.
That's not the point.
Yeah. Well, but like with Phillip Rivers, he's the Chargers quarterback of a generation, and sure, he played 1 or 2 years in the navy blue style.
Yeah,
but that's not what people are going to remember him for.
That's also their best year there, and they went 14-2.
Right, but that's not what they're going to remember him wearing.
I'll always remember that season because of the horrible, horrible ending. Fucking Nate Kading. Kick a goddamn football.
I'm thinking if I could go back and pick any Chargers uniform I wanted, I'm not so sure I wouldn't pick that one.
I do like those.
Yeah.
My favorite is the Dan Fouts era with the yellow pants.
Right. Those are great, too. Well, we've said it a million times. Everything up until this current set, the Chargers are golden. Doesn't pick whatever you want and go with it. You're fine.
I'm a big fan of the powder blue. So
yeah.
But how many teams in their history have nailed it every single time with the uniform except once? Because that's what the Chargers did. It was like, fuck it, we'll try this. Oh, that's beautiful
I'd say the Bucs.
Yeah, they did it twice, and then they went.
Well, the Bucs had, I think, 2 good uniforms, and then
Yep. The Falcons made a lot of changes up until this current set, like tweaks here and there. White pants to silver pants to gray, black.
I'm surprised
helmets.
at how long the Falcons have stuck with this current look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the whole thing about the Falcons' current look and why they need to change is, honestly, look at it. What's it associated with? It's associated with electrocuted dogs and throwing away a surefire Super Bowl. These uniforms are associated with the greatest collapse in Super Bowl history. Possibly the greatest collapse in, championship sports history.
Like the gift that keeps on giving, guys. More news from the camp of our favorite team, the Oakland Raiders. According to Deadspin, the Raiders are fed up with Antonio Brown. That didn't take long.
Yeah. Mike Mayock, what did he say? All in or all out? Something like that?
Well, basically, I loved what he said because he was basically like, look, we get it. He likes his old helmet, but we've literally exhausted every avenue, and it's not happening.
No, the old one failed, and he lost his grievance. So then somehow they went about finding the same model of helmet, but one that was built a little bit later.
Right.
And then they put that through the testing, and it failed. Both the NFL and the NFLPA and the concussion board's protocols. And so, then he's refusing. He just doesn't want to wear the new helmet. But it's also Antonio, if you were really committed to playing for the Raiders, if you're really committed to continuing your football career, this wouldn't be a problem.
No,
you just deal with it.
No, there's got to be
fight this hard about this stuff. Just leave.
Yeah, because he made that whole big mess in Pittsburgh last year, how he wanted out, and he forced the trade and he got out, and now he's here. And in the first week of Hard Knocks, it was like he was totally committed to being a Raider, and here we are. Not even into the 3rd episode of Hard Knocks yet. We're already getting articles. They're fed up with him. They've had enough. Blah, blah, blah. Over a helmet? Come on, dude. There's more to it than that, right? There has to be, because, a helmet wouldn't make anybody
that's the thinking. It would have to be more than that. But at the same time, would you really be shocked if it wasn't?
No, not at all. I've seen players pick the strangest hills to die on in my life. So I wouldn't be a bit surprised at all. I think the guy just doesn't want to do training camp. As simple as that. And we've seen so many variations of this over the years where they just don't want to do the camp. It's as simple as that. He'll be fine. The helmet will work out just fine in 2 weeks. He'll be good to go if the Raiders don't do something stupid, like cut him or whatever. But that's just all it is. I mean, it happens all the time. A guy I got a problem with my contract, but lo and behold, everything's all taken care of the minute we get to the first week of the season, and he's back for practice and all that. So it might just be as simple as that, or he might just be this big of an idiot. I don't know.
I love it. After everything that happened in Pittsburgh, it's like, Raiders, what did you think was going to happen?
Yeah, true. But I have a question, though, about the helmet. Speaking of that, I thought about this today. Are you going to tell me really that, say a helmet that is still good, that was made 7 years ago, but qualifies for today's league, that helmet is safer than, say, an alternate helmet that's brand new? That they're not allowed to wear now?
Yeah, well, because I guess it's more just about the construction of it, how it was built.
But what I'm saying, okay, let's say then that, I forget what the names are, the Revolution Speed helmet that Riddle makes, okay? Mm-hmm. Let's say that, who's the guy on the Raiders? I don't know. One of the players on the Raiders has that helmet. He's had it for 5 years. So that helmet's gone through 5 seasons of NFL football, and that's okay. But if the Raiders want to wear an alternate helmet that's brand new, they can't, because that's unsafe. I'm not saying that that's wrong. I don't understand the logic behind it. It seems to me that a helmet that's brand new would be inherently safer than a helmet that's 5 to 7 years old that's still legal. You know what I mean? It makes no sense to me. Why is that? Why is one that's taking a 5-year beating safer than a brand new one?
Let me find the idea.
Again, this all goes back to the uniforms again, because now I'm arguing, why can't we go back to having alternate helmets again, because that was so much fun.
I think that's honestly just a case of them covering their ass, in every eventuality.
Yeah, and if there's a good reason for it, I'm behind it. I mean, because I want safety too, but I'm just saying that to me it makes no sense that a helmet, like I said, like the Speed Revolution, it's probably a helmet that's legal under the new rules and can be 5 years old. And you're going to tell me that helmet is somehow safer at 5 years old in 5 seasons of NFL football than a brand new Revolution Speed helmet would be today.
Well, this is what happened. So, Brown had his helmet that was 10 years old. And the helmet failed the test. Antonio Brown had found several other of the same model, the Shutt Air Advantage helmets that had been made within the last decade. The NFL said that if he could find one less than 10 years old, he could use it, but it would still have to be tested. So he found one that was made in 2010. Then the NFL tested it, and the NFLPA tested it, and it didn't pass. So, I don't know.
Huh. Well, again, I don't know if he's just trying to miss camp or if he really is that nutty that he's going to let a helmet cost him all this money. And I, again, would respect it more if it was over an aesthetic thing. Look, my old helmet just looks cooler than this new one does. But that's not what's going on here. So I don't know, man. I don't know what made me think that he wouldn't be a problem after he got out of Pittsburgh. What made me think that he would go, okay, now that I'm gone, I'll go back to being a good guy.
And the dude is he's just got a big ego. That's all.
Yeah, that's true. So who knows?
Well, the other big NFL story regarding a player not in camp is Ezekiel Elliott.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And there was another update today where, well, first off, Ezekiel Elliott he wants more money, as most of these guys do, especially the running backs. He said that he's prepared to sit out the season like Le'Veon Bell did a year ago.
Well, that worked out well for Le'Veon Bell.
It worked out fine. And now...
No, it really didn't.
Well, he got a new team. He got a new contract.
Yeah, but he lost a lot of money.
So what happened was Zeke just didn't show up, and he was in Cabo for 2 weeks. The Cowboys came back from playing the Rams in Hawaii, and the report was that he also was going to Dallas. So then there was a thought of, maybe they're going to come to a pass here. But then I guess a reporter asked Jerry Jones about Ezekiel Elliott either today or yesterday, and Jerry Jones thought he was going to be funny and said, Zeke who? And you can imagine how Ezekiel Elliott and his agent took that. So they might be closer to an impasse than anything else. And maybe Ezekiel Elliott doesn't play for the Cowboys this year.
All right, let me ask you a question here, just for fun. I'm not saying this is a possibility or it's going to happen or anything else. I'm just saying, what would we do? You could get a haul for him right now. If a team comes along and says, look, we'll meet his financial demands if you'll trade him to us, would you do it?
I guess it depends on what you have to give up.
Let's say like a first rounder. I don't know what a fair package from. It's like a first, a second, and a third.
Yeah, I think the problem is knowing Jerry Jones and knowing the Cowboys, they would probably just end up asking for too much.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't actually get traded.
But if the deal was there, would you do it, is what I'm saying. Like, I think I would. I think I would say, like, you know what, I'll take my chances.
I think it depends on the team. Like, if you're a team that thinks that this is your time to compete for a Super Bowl right this second, and you think that if adding a stud running back like him would put you over the top or get you at least into that main conversation of potential winners, I guess you would have to, right? Like, I'm trying to think of some teams. Like, the Rams wouldn't do it because we have Todd Gurley and even a couple backups that are good.
I'm just saying because I'm going back to Le'Veon Bell last year. Yeah, he sat out, and that James Conner turned out to be more than capable as a backup. I think he rushed for like 1,300 yards, and Le'Veon Bell was really not missed. Because I don't think Le'Veon Bell was a difference in how far the Steelers were going to get last year. I think they got about the same spot they would have whether they'd had him or not. So I just wonder like how far like a Jerry Jones, he's been through this before with Emmitt Smith. Emmitt Smith missed the first 2 games of one of their Super Bowl winning seasons, and they still were fine. But
well, let's as a couple examples. If you're the Bears, I guess they wouldn't trade him with the Eagles. So let's just say you're the Bears. I think you would do it.
Oh, if the Bears, if the Bears could get him, I'd take him. Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
I think the Bears would because then that gives you a formidable defense and then at least a main offensive threat. No disrespect to Mitch, I love Titties Trubisky. But,
well, you don't think the Packers would love to have Zeke in their backfield?
Yeah.
Yeah. What a weapon! That opens up the entire passing game for Aaron Rodgers. Yeah. Or what's the team? Maybe the
Colts.
The Colts could sure use him. Yeah, it looks like is Andrew Luck?
He's injured again.
Oh my God!
He's got an ankle issue.
Is he going to be one of those guys where we're going to, like in 10 years, go, man, what could have been?
Like, I think so.
I think so too. I really do.
They fucked him over with not getting a proper offensive line for a couple years.
I think he's going to be one of those guys.
Really show.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's going to be like. I think he got a lot more success than Greg Cook had, but Greg Cook was this guy with the Bengals that was really, really good. And just kept getting hurt, and you could only go so long with that before you got to move on. And I was thinking about that when I was reading about Andrew Luck today, and I thought he's going to be one of those guys.
Well, the thing that sucks too is like they need him so badly. Even with Andrew Luck, it's not like the Colts are like this great team that they're surely going to make the playoffs and could make some noise. Like there's still a question mark even when they have him. Which just tells you the state of the rest of that team.
I like Jacoby Brissett as a backup for Andrew Luck, and I think he's capable of starting, but he needs more than what he's got to be really an effective starter. Anybody would. Like you said, even with Andrew Luck, they're no sure thing. Yeah. And so that's the spot they're in. But,
here's an idea that I'm thinking about because this is another running back that hasn't signed or isn't in camp. You think the Chargers and Cowboys can make a Melvin Gordon, Ezekiel Elliott thing work out?
I'm sure they could.
The Chargers are also, not paying. I think Melvin Gordon is being unreasonable.
Yeah, he's Melvin Gordon. Come on. Yeah, he's not Zeke Elliott here. He's not Kamara. He's not he's not Saquon Barkley. Come on, dude. I mean,
he's good.
He's good, but he's not that. He's not so good that I don't know what he's asking for, but it's probably 25% more than what he's worth.
Yeah,
or somewhere along those lines. Yeah, I don't know about that. But the holdouts, that's a long-standing tradition of training camp, and a lot of guys do it just because they don't want to go sit out in the sun and practice every day.
I mean, that's pretty much what Aaron Donald did last year.
Yeah,
and he was fine.
I think we even talked about it. We even said he'll be back for the season. Don't worry.
And he was, and he had his best season yet. So
how far are we from the season starting? What are we, 3 weeks away yet? 2?
3.
3 weeks. We got to start thinking about our preview here, guys.
Maybe next week. Maybe.
Well, I was going to say, technically speaking, college football starts this Saturday.
Oh, God.
Miami versus Florida in Orlando.
Really?
And Arizona at Hawaii. Those are your 2 FBS games this Saturday.
Okay, let me ask you guys this.
The rest of the season starts next Thursday.
Do we want to do a college football preview? Because I know Mike doesn't really follow it that closely.
I could do it.
And I don't know that I give that much of a shit, to be honest.
I could give you a primer and you could just react to stuff.
Maybe we do that. Have a little fun with it.
But college football officially opens this Saturday with 2 games, and then it gets going full force Thursday, Friday, and then, of course, Saturday on the
I think high school football starts here this week.
High school football starts here on Friday. I will be my Friday nights are gone for the next 3 months, which is fine.
I remember that feeling all too well. I only had to do home games though, so I still got some time off. But between that and we were
team I covered was on the road this week. I'm not thrilled about that.
We covered football, and then we did volleyball, occasionally soccer. So like once fall hit, it was crazy.
Oh
yeah. But anyway, but yeah, we need to start thinking about that NFL preview. And I got a couple things. I'll send them to you guys. But I got some ideas to make it a little more interesting and fun this year. Like picking 5 teams that aren't going to make, because we've seen it the past few years. Every year, like 3 to 5 teams that made the playoffs the year before don't. The next year, sometimes it's even more. I want to try to predict that this year. Like, who do we think is not going to make it that made it last year, and who do we think is going to take their place? That might be kind of fun.
I could do that.
Yeah, so I'll throw together my ideas and put them down in a more cohesive fashion, and then I'll send them around and see what you guys think, and we'll take it from there.
So looking at the schedule, the opening night in the NFL is Thursday, September 5th. Bears Packers.
Bears Packers. Yeah, it's NFL 100.
Yeah. So next week, college football gets going full force. And in 2 weeks, NFL goes full force. So.
What a jip, by the way, to the Cardinals, the league's oldest team, and the NFL 100's all about Bears-Packers. It's like...
Yeah, it should have been Bears-Cardinals, right?
Yeah, it should have been Bears-Cardinals. No respect.
Isn't it the longest-running matchup?
That might be.
I think that's the deal.
But if your reasoning for not having the Cardinals is because they were bad, well, they've also got Kyler Murray. Now, pretty good draw. People are going to want to watch him play, but I think you're right. I think it's because they've got the longest rivalry in the league between those two. It's been like 100 and some odd years now. And
yeah. Well, each week during the regular season, they will feature an NFL 100 game of the week. Each game will be a nod to a momentous game played, a fierce rivalry that spans decades, a matchup of original teams, or a game in which history was made.
So, okay, question: Are we gonna be dealing with real rivalries here, or is this gonna be
NHL, like NHL NBC rivalries?
Well, that's why they say it's fierce rivalries or momentous games or a game in which history. So, like the ones that they have listed here. This isn't all of them, but this is like the ones that they highlighted in this NFL press release. Packers Bears to open the season. Then the following week is Browns Jets in a rematch of the original Monday Night Football game.
Yeah.
That'll be Monday Night Football that week. Miami and Dallas, a Super Bowl VI rematch.
Yeah.
Chargers Miami, the
81 playoff game.
Yeah.
So it's like there's enough matchups where they can stretch it. Like, yeah.
Please tell me the Browns are going
Chargers Dolphins doesn't sound like anything.
The Browns are what?
Just I say, please tell me that they're not going to be forced to play the Broncos.
Oh, I hope so.
Hold on. Let me see if there's got to be a full schedule of these things.
I want to intercept Joe Flacco 5 or 6 times and just kick their asses.
Okay, here we go. Slate for NFL 100 Game of the Weeks. Week 1, Packers Bears. Week 2, Monday Night Football, Browns Jets. Cowboys Dolphins, Chargers Dolphins. Wow, the Dolphins back-to-back 100 games of the week. Oh, no. Week 5, Buffalo Bills at Tennessee Titans.
Oh,
the Music City Miracle.
Oh, that's mean.
Yeah.
Is mean. Come on. What did the Bills do to deserve that?
Week 6, Giants Patriots.
Okay, a couple Super Bowls. That's good.
Week 7, Raiders Packers.
Super Bowl 2.
Okay.
Week 8, Packers Chiefs.
Super Bowl 1.
Yep. Week 9, Chiefs Vikings.
Super Bowl 4.
Yeah.
You're just counting them down. Week 10, Falcons Saints.
The Billy White Shoes Johnson Hail Mary play, right?
This is one of those rivalries.
That's right. It's the little rivalry that could.
Yeah. According to Headley Lamar, this was like the greatest NFL rivalry of all time.
And according to Greg from Basically a Sports Show, it's the little rivalry that could. Yeah.
Followed up week 11, Patriots Eagles. Got 2 Super Bowl matchups there.
See, you could come on, yeah, but you could go back and do a better historical game than that.
I think it kind of matters, like just what the slate is that week. You know?
Yeah, but
I don't. I could.
They should have given us Falcons Patriots. Give Headley another chance to blow another $10,000.
I mean, because when I think of history, I don't think of 2 years ago.
Well, I know. Again, it depends on if they even.
Well, maybe it's the Donovan McNabb Eagles Super Bowl.
Well,
could be.
That's what they're mentioning too. Week 12 is Raiders Jets.
The Heidi game.
Heidi game.
Yeah.
Yep. Week 13, 49ers Ravens, which is the blackout Super Bowl.
Oh, right. Okay.
Bengals Browns.
Right. Big rivalry.
Bengal Battle of Ohio.
Yeah, that's a rivalry.
Do you know what the current standings are in the rivalry?
I think they're dead even, aren't they?
Bengals 50, Browns 41.
Oh, I think they were like dead even. Well, we'll take care of that.
Week 15, this one's mean to me. Colts Saints.
Yeah.
Nice. It's actually very insensitive. Week 16 is Raiders Chargers.
That's just a huge rivalry.
A holy roller is what they're talking about there. And then week 17 is TBD for some reason.
It's probably a flex game. Because they might be flexing somebody.
Matter.
Yeah.
I don't think that matters. They're just designating it as the NFL 100 game of the week. And it's not like you don't know what the matchups are. That's strange.
Maybe it's just a case where there's literally nothing good that week. And
or they've got teams that they don't want to make it like a game between 2, 3, and 12 teams or something, you know?
Yeah.
Like they're scrambling, like, okay, we'll see where we are when we get there, and we better hope we can come up with something. You know?
Yeah. Let me pull up a couple of these weeks just to see what else they could have done. Like for the week.
I think the Browns got it pretty good in this, and we got the first Monday Night Football game, a couple of good rivalry games. I'm happy with that.
So this is for the Patriots-Eagles week. These are the other games that are being played that week. You have Steelers-Browns on
Huge
Thursday
rivalry.
night. Jets-Redskins, Jaguars-Colts, Bills-Dolphins.
Bills-Dolphins is a huge rivalry. Cowboys-Lions,
I mean,
Urinating Tree put out a great video about the Lions, just like completely irrelevant they are.
Them. Yeah.
It's all fun and games with Urinating Tree until he makes fun of your team. And then it's
oh, dude! My Browns were like the lolcow for like 2 straight seasons. I've been there, believe me.
Texans, Ravens, Falcons, Panthers, Saints, Bucks, Broncos, Vikings, Cardinals, 49ers, Patriots, Eagles, Bengals, Raiders, Chiefs, Chargers, Bears, Rams. I guess that's the best they could do. Really?
Yeah.
It's either that or Steelers, Browns.
Well, the Browns have already gotten quite a bit of play in this thing. I think that, 3 games already? They're part of the 100 thing? Or at least 2.
Yeah, you've got...
Where's the Cardinals' love? Oldest team in the fucking league.
Yeah,
no respect.
They don't get put.
They don't have any history. I mean, what are you going to do? Go back to the 75 game in the playoffs where they lost?
First,
Steelers.
Oldest team. God damn. This is actually making me mad now.
Well, hold on. Let's see. What does the Arizona Cardinals schedule look like? Because that's
going to play a role too.
So let's see.
It's nothing but them playing the Texans the entire season.
Oh man, I almost got to buy one of those.
Lions, Cardinals, Ravens, Panthers, Cardinals, Seahawks, Cardinals, Bengals, Falcons, Giants, Saints, 49ers, Buccaneers, 49ers, Rams. They do play the Steelers. They also play the Browns, Seahawks, and Rams.
Not a lot there to work with, really.
A battle of teams that got the hell out of St. Louis for week 17.
Well, let's see. Steelers, Cardinals, that is an all-time Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So that's what is that? That's December 8th. That's the week that they're doing Bengals, Browns.
I'd be okay with giving that to Steelers, Cardinals.
I want the St. Louis Bowl in week 18.
Yeah, that'd be awesome, right? Wouldn't it?
The Cardinals, Rams. It'll.
Well, maybe both teams will be, 14-1 at that point or something.
Like the it's played in LA, I can see, but to simulate, like, they both wear throwbacks, relevant to their time in St. Louis. And the Rams can put a giant tarp over the Coliseum to block out all of the natural light, and it'll be just like they're playing in St. Louis again. It'll be fantastic.
I think it's a great idea, Mike. Unfortunately, none of our great ideas ever see the light of day. If they would just listen to us, the league would be at least 30% more entertaining.
Think about it. You could have it like St. Louis week at the Coliseum. You could sell bagels cut
the wrong way. Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Right.
Sell St. Louis style pizza at the concessions. Bosnian, folk singers as the halftime show. The options are endless. Like, you could come on, NFL. Do
whose
the right
jerseys
thing.
Tucked into their shorts the best? All that stuff. Yeah.
Everyone comes wearing jorts.
Right. All right, fellas.
Some of these make sense, but man, that Bills Titans one is really mean.
Kinda, yeah.
How many times do you think they're going to play that replay over the course of that game?
Oh, a bunch. They're going to open with it first off, then they'll play it a bunch more after that. That's kind of mean, but anyway. All right, guys, let's wrap it up here. Follow us on Twitter at Basically Sports. Subscribe via iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, and YouTube. Thanks for listening, and we will see you next week with more Basically a Sports Show.
Adios.
See ya.
The second half of tonight's telecast has been brought to you by Imperial Oil Limited and Esso dealers, agents, and distributors serving your community. Tune in again next week.
This has been a Filmways presentation, darling.